In the last episode of Sports Corner, we caught up with Ginaldo Jana, a street rider who is part of the BMX community who shared his experiences in the sport. Today, we speak to Flatland BMX rider Dolph Kharnam, one of the city's top riders who has competed at national events during his very short run-in with the sport. Flatland is a freestyle BMX riding style performed on smooth, flat surfaces that do not include any ramps, jumps or grind rails. It is sometimes described as a form of artistic cycling with a blend of breakdancing and is somewhat different from the rest of freestyle BMX. So we have Dolph Kharnam, who has been riding Flatland for 4 years here with us, and he is one of the most seasoned BMX riders from the state of Meghalaya. He's competed in competitions outside of the state too. Welcome to our program, Dolph.
Thank you for having me.
So Dolph, could you tell us how this journey started? When did it begin, and what got you into the sport?
So basically there was riders from Shillong named Ground Rule. So they, after seeing, there was a event happening in 18 degrees in 2016 or 15 I guess, and then just looking at them inspired me a lot, and then I just talked to my friends, what is this, what's going on, and then it was just crazy looking at them, so that inspired me to ride my BMX. So it's thanks to them that they have brought the scene in Northeast, Ground Rule, so it's thanks to them that I've come a lot this far.
So prior to that, you were not watching any of the X Games
No.
programs and all of that?
No, I have no clue about. I had no clue about that. So looking at them was like my first time. Like I just got shocked, culture shock. Like what is happening on a bicycle? So it was like a different feeling for me.
Dolph's interest in BMX came after he witnessed riders perform at the 18 Degrees Festival held in Shillong. He admits that before the festival, he wasn't aware of the sport. The bigger challenge, however, was persuading his parents, who didn't know much about the sport, to support him. They were initially hesitant, but after witnessing his stellar performance at the 18 Degrees Festival, they encouraged him to pursue the sport. When you talk about, when one talks about the kind of support that your parents have given you in, taking up BMX flatland riding as a sport, obviously it's a little dangerous. It can be quite dangerous. Initial months would be a challenge. What did your parents have to say about that?
At first, my parents were just like, they were just like normal. Like they didn't know much about this sport. So, and I just showed them some videos, but they were not yet like convinced enough to like see how big this sport is. So after calling them for my first time shows on events in 18 degrees, which happened in Shillong, they were like telling me like to keep doing this BMX more and more. So that inspired me to push myself more.
All right, so let's talk about, because of the kind of encouragement that you've also received from your parents, could you tell us about your journey and, the experience that you have. Now it's been 4 years, as you said, since you started riding. Now in those 4 years, we know that you have achieved quite a lot. You have competed in a lot of events. So could you name some of those events, and especially the ones that were not based here in the state?
Okay, so my first, second biggest event for me was in Pune, which happened in 2018. So like that was a turning point for me for my BMX career. So that inspired me. Like meeting all those riders was like my dream come true, because I've always watched them from the internet, and then meeting them in person was just amazing. And then BMX is really a great feeling. Like you all should try it out once.
This underrated shit is on the makeup shit on me. How they give me up some more people in the house.
19-year-old Dolph from Shillong was the lone participant from the Northeast in the 2017 Extreme Sports Association of India organized All India BMX competition, winning in the under-18 category, thereby becoming the youngest participant to win a gold medal certificate along with other prizes. Dolph's success didn't end there. In Shillong, he ended up winning numerous competitions, including in the Metropolis and 18 Degrees festivals, to name a few. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting because, even as a kid, me and, a lot of my friends also grew up watching a lot of the X Games, and we had a lot of interest, but those days, getting a BMX was not something so easy, it was very challenging, and we also know it's not so cheap. Now coming into that, the cost of the sport and the little components that are involved here and there, the little accessories, how's that, taken care of in terms of expenses, and how do you manage that?
So in India, BMX, like we don't really get a proper BMX. All these BMX right here, they are all from abroad. So, and BMX parts are very, very costly. Like they're very costly. One part is just this part is like 13,000. So you can imagine all the rest, like they're all in lakhs. So getting BMX from outside imports is like very difficult to India, because we don't have enough proper equipments or proper stores, and these BMX which we use are no ordinary BMX. They are not ordinary bicycles. So they are BMX which comes in 20-inch wheel. So this diameter has a thing with the BMX. Then bicycles are different than BMX. So, and then these are called street category, and then we have the BMX Flatland category, and then the street category frames. So that's the turning point of like how difficult it is to buy parts from abroad.
So when you talk about the rims and the tires and all that stuff, are these also imported, or?
Yeah, all these are imported. All these frames, we don't get them in India. We have a shop they have a shop. It's called Zialot BMX. It's from Mumbai. So they bring parts from abroad and then they keep it to themselves, and then we buy from them. We purchase them, but buying them also is very expensive because we cannot afford that much. So that's how the scene is in BMX.
Flatland BMX bikes are different from street bikes as they have a shorter wheelbase and don't usually have pedals. The lack of BMX and BMX spare parts stores has been one of the biggest hindrances for BMX riders in the state. Parts such as rims, forks and tires need to be imported, and these can be very expensive. Also, there are very few places for them to ride or practice. Okay, now again coming to a little bit of the technicalities, okay, because you can see like your tires have started balding a little bit.
Okay.
And is this suitable for, some of the flatland stunts that you perform? Or
So like we have like different categories. Like if you're riding street is basically like doing a 360 and 180. Those are called street. So if you're riding street, you need to buy a street frame rather than a BMX flatland frame. So street frame and BMX flatland frame, they're different. So BMX flatland frame is that we have 4 pegs. So these are called pegs. These pipes you see here. So these help us to do a proper tricks. And then street pegs, they can have 4 pegs, but it's done only in grinds like rails. So that's the difference between BMX flatland and street. And BMX flatland is performed in a flat surface, and street is basically performing like streets, all the stuff. So yeah.
you're talking about performing in the streets, with recent regulations and recent road laws. There are a lot of restrictions when it comes to performing stunts in public places.
Yeah.
So how do you guys manage this? And
So like we don't actually have a proper place to ride here in Northeast. So there's like very few like places to practice. We don't have that much. So if the government can at least see this sports what we are doing and at least build an indoor sports where we can all of us be together and practice, so the scene of BMX in Northeast India will expand a lot. So there are some skate parks in Shillong, there is in Nigrims, and in next to Nigrims only there's a skate park. So
and there's another one in Lankarding, I believe.
yeah, Lankarding, that's the place. So these 2 skate parks are there in Shillong. So that's like it's meant for street, not like BMX flatland. So it's tough for us also to do tricks in the skate park and for skateboarding too.
How different would you say it is, riding flatland compared to vert or street?
So BMX is basically like just break dance. You just carry a cycle, spin around, and then street stuff like you jump, you hop, you do a 180, you switch. So that's very different. And then BMX is like something that is you need a lot of time of practice. Like it doesn't come that easy. So it's really tough, BMX flatland as well as streets.
Competitive BMX riding does have its share of hazards even for experienced riders, and there's always that element of risk every time they attempt to pull off a new stunt. For these reasons, newer riders generally start off by gearing up with elbow and knee pads, helmets and sometimes gloves. However, seasoned flatland and street riders tend to avoid protective gear to reduce weight and enhance free movement while competing or practicing. Okay, now we'll talk about the kind of support that's given for this sport. Sponsorships for events, for riders. Now this is something which even in the metropolitan cities has only very recently started. You have some of the big companies like Red Bull and certain other what do you call them, energy, especially these energy drink companies starting to show interest in some of the riders here, because again, when one talks about BMX riding, it's quite new in India. It hasn't been around for too long in comparison to the Western countries. Now, Meghalaya and the Northeast in particular don't really have the kind of it's not really attracted the kind of interest level that one would expect when you talk about sponsorships. If you want to hold an event, a BMX event, it does cost money, and without sponsors, it's not easy. So, how do you think that this issue can be addressed? Because right now, I think everyone is just hosting these events out of their own pockets,
Yeah, so it's like everyone is supporting each other. So there are some people from Pro Life Skate Park in Nigams who held events, like not that usually, but they held events. So they're supporting the BMX culture, the skate culture, the street culture. So that's very nice having people like them. And then there's exports, which basically helps us. Like they every year in 18 degrees, so they hold events of BMX Flatland. So that way, but it's not yet proper. It's not like a proper amount of money we get, but we are still managing. So we need support from the government at least to help us, like to know that this sports also exists. Like there are so many talented people in Northeast in BMX, but people don't know that till now. So hoping to reach out more to people who can get inspired by BMX.
Dolph says that two skate parks in Shillong are more suited for street BMX riders, and flatland riders lack proper space. Upcoming BMX riders have emphasized that sponsorship and government encouragement is key for development of the sport, and without the right kind of support, it's always going to be an uphill climb. And one last question before we wrap this up with you. Are you planning to continue riding for, let's say, the next 10 years? Or perhaps, one day have plans of opening up your own park and provide training, a little bit of coaching for some upcoming young BMX riders in the future?
So BMX, like after having 2 years of experience, 3 years of experience in BMX Flatland, the feeling of just like winning contests is like just the greatest feeling ever. Like you'll experience if you'll win something. So I would say that BMX, you should try it out, and then I'm planning to participate in Japan in 2024. So I hope I can get some places over there so I can promote myself out there and promote India also and Northeast. So I'm just trying my best, and then I have a team called Team FS. So I'm planning we have the skateboarding, the beatbox, the freestyle dancers. So we're all like planning to, support each other out and then try to do something big in the future.
Well, we certainly hope that, Dolph, by 2024, things change and you will be able to compete in Japan. And we wish you all the best. And we really hope that for the sake of the BMX community, the government will take note of whatever you have said and perhaps introduce a skate park a park, in fact, a BMX skate park for everyone. So thanks a lot for being on our show.
Sure, thank you for having me.